Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to Dialogue, the dialogue on analog music reproduction. And today we are going to focus on vacuum tubes. Oh, yes, the most amazing and I would say best sounding part of our hi-fi system. If done properly, if positioned, assembled, combined properly. In fact, today, through 10 main tips, we are going to try to understand how to assemble the perfect system. Or, if you already have some components, get the best out of that synergy that you're trying to find. Are you ready? Let's dive in now. Okay, so disclaimer before we start. This is a IMHO video. Yes, in my humble opinion. This is a video based on opinions, my experience, okay? Not facts, because I already know that a lot of people are not going to agree with what I'm going to say. So it's important to underline that this is what I think about this topic, okay? Let's start immediately with point number 1. Let's go. Okay, point number 1. In order to achieve incredible sonics, in order to build your hi-fi vacuum tube system, the number 1 important aspect is to have high efficiency speakers. Yes, they has to be with a high sensitivity, meaning I would say at least 100 dB or even more. Why? Very simple. If you really want to explore and test and use tubes, which, as we all know, don't have that much power, you need something that does not need huge amounts of watts of power, okay? That is why it's so important to have a high sensitivity speaker. With that, especially if we're going in the 103 to 104 area, you can practically experiment with any kind of tube out there, meaning even 1 or 2 watts. Wow, okay? Let's proceed. Point number 2. SET versus PP. What is that? Single-ended triode, which is the common type of amplifier based on tubes, or the push-pull. Those are the 2 great macroscopic types, we could say. There are also other ones, but these are the main 2, and I'm not going to go into depth what are the differences and why I think one is better than the other, okay? It's just too long. It would need an entire video. Plus, it's very complex if you really want to go in depth. In some aspects, I'm probably not even actually capable of communicating. In fact, this is just, as I said, a quick video where I want to express my experience through these points. And coming to this, in my opinion, not always, but in my opinion, I would start, let's put it this way, I would start with a SET, a single-ended triode type of amplifier. Absolutely. There's going to be a lot of push-pull versions. I would say most modern tube amplifiers have that. We're mainly talking about amplifiers, clearly, but also preamplifiers. So, in my opinion, especially if we're talking about amplifiers, go with the SET. It's a more simple design, it's full class A, and you just have more benefits, and you, in my opinion, and you're gonna sense more the nuances of what tubes is all about. That delicacy, that huge sound stage, that air between the instruments, that warmth. I would start from there, okay? There's also valid, actually, for example, preamplifiers, phono preamplifiers with push-pull do have a reason. Even though, once again, I believe more in something a little more simple. Okay, let's proceed. Point number 3. SET versus PSET. No, I'm not crazy. It's single-ended triad versus a parallel configuration of a single-ended triad. What does that mean? Very simple. That in an amplifier, you're not going to have just one tube dedicated for each channel, okay? You're going to have multiple tubes for each channel in order usually to enhance the power, okay? To have a stronger output, because there are very few efficient speakers. The vast majority of people have low sensitivity or mid sensitivity speakers, meaning going from 87 to 92, things like that. So you're going to need a little more muscle there. And that is why the vast majority is using a parallel design. Once again, the circuit is going to be more complex. And in my opinion, you are degrading a little bit the sound. I am sure there are fantastic designs in push-pull, fantastic designs. I'm sure. I mean, I've heard them also in fairs. But at the end of the day, if I have to make a choice with a gun at my head, what do I want to choose? That's all about this video is all about that. I would go with a single-ended triad. Very simple dimple. But once again, be careful of your speakers. Let's proceed. Point number 4, which is a summary of what I've said up until now, actually. Simple circuits. Simplicity is paramount, is the first word, the password, the most important concept that we must keep in mind when we're talking about tubes, in my opinion, once again. The more it's simple, although it has to work, I mean, it can't be too simple when you have a huge hum or things like that. A good designer knows how to do that, and it's difficult because it is simple. And as we all know, simple things sometimes are even more difficult to make than complex things. And a simple design, which is properly done, that does deliver, isn't that easy to do in the end. Even though, if you look at it on paper, it's just a few components, and there you are. You're good to go. Much more simple than a solid state. So already it is a simple circuit. But once again, go the simple way. Okay, I'm going to do a little spoiler of something I'm going to present here on the channel in the future. I got a fantastic preamplifier made by Don Garber, where his philosophy was simplicity, more and more. The extreme simplicity. Even if you open up my Macintosh MC30s, it is very simple inside, guys, and the sonics are just amazing. Like most of these components, of these amplifiers and preamplifiers. So that is the path to follow. I wanted to add also that I also deeply favor point-to-point wiring, okay? No PCBs. That's not always true. For example, as you all know, I love my Master Sound Spectro. Here is a link if you haven't seen that video, that preamplifier. It's fantastic. I still have it, and it has a PCB with gold connections inside. Nevertheless, in my experience, though, when you have a point-to-point situation, it's always going to be a little better, more refined. It's just better. What can I say? Let's proceed. Point number 5, matching circuit. What do I mean? I've noticed that something that a lot of people say, actually, I find true, that when you're using new or newish gear, in most cases, I don't want to say always, but in most cases, it's good to use new tubes. Meaning currently produced tubes, okay? Not new old stock. Currently produced tubes, because those designs are built around those parameters. So, for example, the Master Sound does sound better with modern tubes. Absolutely. I tried to put Telefunken. As you know, I put Mullard. I put the best of the best. Terrible. When I put back the JJs, which don't cost a fraction of one of those Telefunken, everything fell back in position. It was fantastic. The same with a Luxman preamp I have here, which I still have to unveil. Actually, I used a hybrid solution in one single position. A new old stock vintage tube was perfect, but the rest I had to leave the new ones, and it just bloomed much better, okay? And obviously, when you're talking and using vintage gear, I think it's better to use those new old stock vintage tubes. They just work better, a better synergy. Let's proceed. Point number 6, transformers. It's not all a matter of tubes. And that is why, in my opinion, as you know, one of the big downsides of today's amplifiers and circuits where we have transformers and tubes is the transformer part. Because transformers, as you know, I said this in several videos, are just as important, actually maybe even more important than the type of tubes, the quality of the tube. So make sure that when you're going to choose your component, it has top-notch transformers. I did a video where I was talking about a modern amplifier I have with Tango transformers, and it explained all the history and why they're so fantastic. Generally speaking, Japanese transformers are very, very high quality, among the best, if not the best in the world. But not only, I mean, also Lundal is doing great things today. So, Cinemag, in other components though, in other types of preamplifiers, you're finding that, but also in some amplifiers. Nevertheless, when you start to go in good old Japan, they're especially in the vintage side, but also currently produced, they're amazing things. Take a look at that video where I talk about the Taketsuki tubes and those amazing Tango transformers. And apart from this, in this point, I also want to talk about, since we're talking about tubes, of OTL type of amplifiers, meaning output transformer less amplifiers, which is a very special type of amplifiers where you don't have an output transformer. Meaning you have to do a very special design, and several people think that is the true way to enjoy the true sound of tubes. Nevertheless, you need special kind of tubes to do that. And sometimes the design is made out of dozens of tubes, which I find insane. Or in other cases, very powerful tubes. So, once again, I think you are losing a little bit of that finesse, of the characteristics of tubes. So, in my opinion, I think the best is, in general, normal SET type with tubes and transformers. A lot of transformers. They color the sound. Yes. I mean, if you're looking for transparency, this is probably not the right video for you. There are excellent transparent tubes. Absolutely. Yes, they do exist, especially made today. But I'm not interested in those because I do like color. You know me. Okay, let's proceed. Point number 7. Synergy. I think that in the end, even though a lot of people say you should use tubes in the preamplification part and solid state in the amplification part, it's a good combo, also in terms of efficiency. I just think in the end, due to also the problems, the faults that tubes have, especially if we're talking about vintage stuff, it's better, in my opinion, to combine this technology. Meaning, tube tech here in the preamp and tube tech there in the amplifier. They just go better together. That is not always true, clearly. I have excellent examples. I love my Sony VFET with my tube preamp, absolutely. But just in general terms, it's better to have this two technology close. But this is one of the points where I am not 100% sure, meaning that it's a good trend, but there's lots of examples where a hybrid solution is just as good or even better. So it's just to mention, if there are problems, especially when you turn on, turn off, noise and things like that, if you have the same technology here and there, sometimes you'll solve a lot of problems. Let's proceed. Point number 8, tube rolling. Oh yeah, baby. Do it. You have to do it. They change a lot. Maybe less in modern equipment, But in the past, oh boy, guys, when you change the tubes, the sound changes, and also the noise floor changes, the hum changes. And we're not talking only about preamp and power amp, but also, for example, rectifiers. Those do influence sound. So do experiment. Rolling, meaning, if you don't know, changing the tubes that you find in stock in your piece of equipment. Try different stuff. Old, new, try everything, and you will see that things change a lot, even though it can be expensive. But then you can fine tune. I think it's also the fun of it, and find what you really like. Sometimes a lot of equipment is not that, let's say, influenced by the type of tubes. Okay, it doesn't happen always. As I said, modern equipment does have it's less lean to have influences, and also because there's other technology inside. Older designs, more simple designs, change a lot. Let's proceed. Point number 9, strictly connected to this, is in fact tube selection. So not only tube rolling, but also try to do some research, because a lot of people out there already went down your road. So you may find good indication, good suggestions. It's not automatically going to work with that piece of gear you got, probably. But if a lot of people are saying, look, that type of tube works good with, in most cases, I think I found that it is true. For example, what Steve Hoffman was recommending for my Macintoshes, MC30s, whoa baby. It just bloomed as soon as I put what he was recommending. And he did, if you take a look at that video, here's the video on my Macintoshes, MC30s. I go through the different tubes I'm using, where he also gives choices according to what sound you're trying to make out, to produce, because it clearly changes according to what speakers, the crossover inside, the rest of your gear, it changes. So that's why it's also important. Plus, strictly connected to this, I also wanted to talk about the sources of your tubes, where to buy them. It's not that easy. Be careful of eBay. I found that that some are doing some scams. I bought once a Telefunken, and it was clearly a forgery. It wasn't that specific type of Telefunken. The diamond was impressed on purpose to make it seem like a special type. So unfortunately, especially for the famous brands like Telefunken and Mullard, you really have to pay attention, okay? That is why I highly recommend to spend a little more, but to possibly get them in stores, dedicated stores that they're selling, because they're guaranteeing the strength of that tube, if we're talking about vintage ones, and clearly the genuinity, that they are genuine. They are truly that type of tube that you're searching for. So worthwhile at a certain point, even though, once again, they are expensive when you get them in shops. Okay, let's proceed. Point number 10. If you're going to go down the rabbit hole of tubes and you are enjoying it and you are sure about this and you want to continue and you want to build a whole system, at a certain point, you're going to need a tube tester. Because, first of all, to check what you're buying. At that point, you're independent. You can buy on eBay. That's what I do. I write to the guy that I'm buying on eBay and telling him, look, I have a tube tester ready, okay? So don't send me shit, because I'm going to immediately check it, and if it's not up to spec as you declared, it's going right back. And clearly that's the good part of eBay or PayPal in general, because you're protected, and you can send them right back and get full refund. So that's also something important, to be a little more independent, but also to check the status. At what point the wear of that tube is going, is at the lifespan of a tube. At a certain point, probably the sound is going to decay a little bit. Just check it, see if it's up to spec, and change it if it's not. That's why you do need. I have a Hickok Cardmatic, never presented on the channel. I want to do it sooner or later. I will. Something like that. Hickok are clearly the best of the best, but there are also other types. If you are a genius, computer genius, there's also some solutions there, but it's quite hard. In any case, roam the web and you'll find lots of solutions. The ones that cover a lot of types of tubes, that's always the difficult part, aren't that many. So, but a nice refurbished Hickok, it's a good investment and you can easily resell it, absolutely. Okay, we've reached the end of the video. I have a bonus tip. Remember to heat them up, okay? Whatever is the component, if for critical listening, you do need, I would say, at least 30 minutes. Even more sometimes, or even less. It depends. But let's say 30 minutes, that you really got them warm, and the sound just changes. It just blooms. It's just much, much better when everything is nice and warmed up. Okay, guys? Thank you for watching. Please leave your comments with your tips. I'm very interested, and it's very helpful for the community. And what else can I say? Remember that music is born analog. Thank you. Bye. Oh, and for the English people, we were talking about valves up until now. Ciao.
Well, guys, if you're enjoying my videos and you're enjoying my channel, please consider to subscribe by clicking the black and white logo here below. Also, don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll never miss an episode and you will become a true member of the analog community.